Ralph David Abernathy was a major leader in the American civil rights movement. He was born on March 11, 1926. Abernathy worked closely with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for many years. Together, they helped lead the fight for equal rights for Black Americans. Ralph Abernathy became known for his calm leadership, strong faith, and commitment to justice. Abernathy grew up in the United States at a time when racial segregation was common. Many public places were separated by race, and Black people faced discrimination in schools, housing, and jobs. Abernathy became a minister in the Baptist Church, and he believed that religion and justice were connected. He saw the church as a place where people could organize and support one another. This belief shaped his work in the civil rights movement. In the 1950s, the civil rights movement began to grow in strength. One of the first major events was the Montgomery bus boycott in Alabama. This boycott began in 1955 after Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a bus to a white passenger. The Black community in Montgomery decided to stop using the bus system. The boycott lasted for over a year, and it caused major economic pressure on the bus company. Abernathy played a key role in organizing the boycott. He worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was a young minister at the time. Their partnership became very important to the movement. The Montgomery bus boycott showed that nonviolent protest could bring change. It also made King and Abernathy national leaders. The boycott ended in 1956 when the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. This victory encouraged activists across the country. Abernathy continued to work with King to organize other campaigns for civil rights. In 1957, Abernathy and King helped to found the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, often called the SCLC. The SCLC was created to support nonviolent protest and to organize civil rights actions across the South. The organization used churches as meeting places and relied on local leaders to coordinate events. Abernathy served as one of the SCLC's most important leaders. He traveled widely, speaking to crowds, planning campaigns, and helping to keep activists focused on nonviolent methods. One of the most famous campaigns that Abernathy helped lead was the Birmingham Campaign in 1963. Birmingham, Alabama, was known for its strict segregation and violent resistance to change. The SCLC organized marches, sit-ins, and protests to challenge segregation laws. The campaign faced heavy opposition, and police used dogs and fire hoses against protesters. Many people were arrested, including Abernathy and King. The images of the violence shocked the nation and increased public support for the civil rights movement. The campaign helped lead to negotiations that began to change the rules of segregation in Birmingham. Another major moment came later in 1963 with the March on Washington. This event brought together hundreds of thousands of people in the nation's capital. It was a peaceful demonstration for jobs and freedom. The march is especially remembered for Dr. King's speech, known as "I Have a Dream." Abernathy was one of the key organizers and was a visible leader during the event. The march helped build momentum for new civil rights laws. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed. This law made it illegal to discriminate based on race in public places, schools, and employment. It was one of the most important achievements of the movement. Abernathy and the SCLC played a major role in pushing for this law. Their efforts helped create public pressure and support for federal action. After the Civil Rights Act, Abernathy continued to work on major campaigns. One of the next big efforts was the Selma to Montgomery marches in 1965. These marches aimed to secure voting rights for Black Americans. Many Black people faced barriers when trying to register to vote, including unfair tests and intimidation. The marches began in Selma, Alabama, and were met with violent resistance. On what became known as Bloody Sunday, marchers were attacked by police while crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The violence was shown on television and shocked the nation. Abernathy and King continued the march, and it helped lead to the passage of the Voting Rights Act later in 1965. This law made it illegal to prevent people from voting because of their race. Abernathy's work with King was not only about marches and protests. He also worked behind the scenes to keep the movement organized and focused. He helped raise funds, coordinate logistics, and support local leaders. He often traveled to meet with activists in different cities, helping to build networks and plan new campaigns. His steady presence and ability to stay calm under pressure were important during difficult times. In 1968, a new movement began to grow, focused on economic justice and housing. This effort was called the Poor People's Campaign. It aimed to address poverty and inequality for people of all races. Abernathy was chosen to lead this campaign after King's assassination in April 1968. King's death was a devastating loss for the movement, and many people looked to Abernathy to continue the work. He led the campaign with a focus on nonviolent protest and public demonstration. The Poor People's Campaign included a plan to bring a group of protesters to Washington, D.C. They set up a temporary community called Resurrection City on the National Mall. The purpose was to demand economic justice and better living conditions for poor Americans. The campaign faced many challenges, including weather problems, internal disagreements, and limited political support. Despite these difficulties, Abernathy remained committed to the cause. The campaign brought attention to poverty and economic inequality, even though it did not achieve all of its goals. After the peak of the civil rights movement, Abernathy continued to speak out on issues of justice and equality. He remained active in public life and continued to support civil rights causes. He worked to keep the memory of the movement alive and to encourage new generations to continue the struggle for fairness. Abernathy also wrote books about his experiences and the movement. These works helped provide insight into the civil rights era and the challenges faced by activists. Through his writing, he shared his view of the movement's goals and the importance of nonviolent action. His books also helped preserve the history of the struggle for civil rights, allowing people to learn from the past. Throughout his life, Abernathy was known for his strong belief in nonviolent protest. He believed that peaceful action was the most effective way to achieve lasting change. He also believed that the movement needed to stay focused on moral and ethical principles. This approach helped the civil rights movement gain support from many Americans who might not have agreed with every political idea, but who respected the movement's commitment to peaceful protest. Ralph Abernathy's role in the civil rights movement is remembered as one of leadership, courage, and dedication. He stood beside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during many of the movement's most important moments. He helped guide the movement through victories and through difficult times. His work helped change laws and public attitudes, and his legacy continues to influence people who fight for justice today. Even though the movement achieved major legal victories, Abernathy understood that the struggle for equality was not over. He believed that real change required not only new laws, but also changes in economic conditions and social attitudes. He continued to speak about the need for fairness in housing, education, and employment. He also emphasized the importance of community organizing and collective action. Ralph Abernathy's life and work show how one person can help lead a movement that changes a nation. He was a leader who remained steady during times of crisis. He worked to unite people across different backgrounds and to push for a more just society. His efforts helped shape the civil rights movement and left a lasting impact on American history. Today, Abernathy is remembered as a key figure in the fight for civil rights. His leadership during the Montgomery bus boycott, the Birmingham campaign, the March on Washington, and the Selma marches helped bring about major changes in American society. His commitment to nonviolent protest and his belief in justice continue to inspire people around the world. Ralph David Abernathy's legacy is a reminder that peaceful, organized action can create powerful change, and that the work of building a fair society requires courage, persistence, and hope.